Okay, so this video, I'm going to show you how I go about cutting these heavier Lexan bodies. Basically the same as the thin Lexan bodies, except I just score these just a little bit deeper is all. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how I paint this. I'm planning to paint this completely black, but the other part of this video that I'm hoping that you might get something out of, since you're taking the time to watch it, is I'm going to show you how I create my own decals and how I print them on the Alps printer, and how I cut them on my die cutter. So it'll give you a whole rundown. I'm going to make this body for an RC car I'm building for my son with a bit of a twist at the end. So if you want to see how it turns out, just go ahead and skip to the end of this video and you'll see the end result. So let's start. First things first, brand new blade. Always start scoring a body with a brand new blade. Now, usually I will tape up the straight lines because it's easier for me to follow the tape so I can see the lines easy, or I'll take a Sharpie and trace over the lines so I can see them. But this Lexan is so heavy and the lines are so easy to see that the knife can just trail the embossed lines on this by itself. So I'm not going to bother with putting tape and protecting anything. There is the protective plastic on this, yeah. So let's go ahead and start. The thing I hate doing the most happens to be the wheel wells, and there's different ways of doing this. Some people use a protractor to score the well. Other people get the middle of it, put a hole in the center, and have a little piece of metal that holds the X-Acto knife in place. I don't know, you can search YouTube for the different ways. I don't really bother with any of those. As long as you score this slowly and follow the lines on here, you'll be fine. The half circle stuff sometimes doesn't work because some of the circles, like on the trucks, aren't exactly circular. The wells, the wheel wells, are just more oval shaped, or they have an elliptical shape. There's different facets, so that may not always work. Anyways, in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and just start using the knife on this, and you'll see how this goes. I may cut the video in and out of here because I may put this on my lap for ease of doing it, but I'm just going to give you an idea, of what goes on here. So the lines are already, like I said, already in place. Just take it slow, follow the line. You don't have to score very deep, because when you go and bend this, the score will just crack where it's at. You'll see what I mean in a minute here. I know this slow pace might be excruciating to some, but I'm an older guy. My hand shakes, so I kind of have to go a little bit slow. And don't worry about it being just a little bit off. The point is to go slow so you don't scratch the plastic by missing the cut. You can always take care of any jagged edges later with a sanding drum or a file or sandpaper. A bunch of different ways to do it. Okay, so I scored that. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, but I'm just going to basically do the same. Just follow the lines with the X-Acto knife, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to actually cut the stuff out. It's actually pretty easy, and it's also pretty rad on doing it. It's kind of fun, I guess you might say. All right, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished scoring all the lines with the X-Acto. Again, use a very sharp X-Acto knife. You can always go slow, and then you can always fix any jagged edges again with sandpaper afterwards. So you can go over the score again if you don't think it's deep enough, but just be real careful. You want to, you know, you don't want to overcut the thing. So once you have this scored, you can just take your scissors. And by the way, a couple of things. Some folks, I already know where the wheel wells are here will fit the tires where they're at, the wheelbase. I already know they'll be well fitted on the wheelbase. But if you're not sure about that, put the body on the chassis and then mark a little hole where the wheel shaft goes, because obviously that's your center. So, you know, you don't want this to be off center, you know, from your wheelbase. So a lot of folks, you know, use the clear plastic as an advantage to put the body on, fit the body onto the chassis, mark the hole where the shaft is for the wheels, and then, you know, make an even cut around that center of the shaft. So, because otherwise, if this wasn't exactly in the middle of the wheelbase where the shafts are, these wheel wells will be off and your tire, you know, will be shifted to the left or to the right a little bit. So if you want to do it right, put the body onto the chassis first and mark the wheel wells with magic marker or something, so they line up properly with your wheel. Okay, so I already knew that the wheelbase here would fit nicely on the chassis that I have, so that's why I just went ahead and cut along the lines. Okay, so now that we've scored this, basically I just make cuts on the straight pieces. I just go ahead and make a cut on both sides just to give it room to be able to bend. And I think I've shown you this in a prior video. If you just bend along the score, you can see it was a very light score that I did. I didn't, you know, I didn't score it really heavy, and the plastic just comes right off. And the way that I do the wheel wells, I'm going to go ahead and cut this bottom piece, but I'm just going to cut this bottom piece. Sorry, I was off camera, but I'm just going to make little pie cuts on the wheel well, and the things will just kind of peel right off. So I'll show you how that goes. I already scored the wheel wells, so if I just make little pie cuts here, it'll make these pieces easier to take off. And again, don't worry about the jagged edges if there are any. They aren't exactly uniformly curved, because you'll go over it with a piece of sandpaper and make it come out right. So now that I've made these little cuts here, see how easy that comes off? So just go along the score that you've made, and everything will just snap along the score. It's that easy. If you have a piece that you're uncomfortable with, where you think it's a little too big, just go ahead and just cut a little bit more of it. So you take it off in smaller pieces and smaller chunks. You don't have to go take everything off in one big shot. See, like that one, I'm not really comfortable with. So I'll come back to that. So, see what I'm doing here? I'm just making it a smaller piece to cut off. There you go. Okay, you see that wheel well turned out? Didn't turn out that bad. Might be a little tiny jagged edge there, but again, we'll just get some sandpaper and just smooth it out. So we do the rest of the car the same way. I'm not going to bore you with that, but once you score it, then you just start cutting the pieces off by bending them, and then they'll just crack along the score. Okay, so let me get the rest of this and be back. Okay, so I'm finishing the front here. You can see I've already cut out the rest. So notice all the pieces that I've cut out in the front. I scored it here at the top. Anywhere there's like a little curve, you know, make a little cut, a straight vertical cut down, so you're not trying to snap a curve back. Trust me, take your time, you know, cut a bunch of little pieces out. You know, if it takes you another minute or so, it's worth it, because you don't want to ruin a $30 body just because you were in a hurry. So little pieces are easier to cut out along the scores than larger pieces, or even pieces that are curved. So just remember that. Okay. Take your time, and you'll come out with a really nicely cut product that you're not going to have to touch up a whole lot. Okay, so we'll just go over some of this with a little bit of sandpaper, just to even things out a little bit. Gotta cut that little piece out right there. But you can see that turns out pretty well. So I'm gonna take some sandpaper, just even things out. Then I'm gonna wash this in warm soapy water and dry the inside, because you want to take all of the oil from your hands off so the paint sticks, and then make sure you wash your hands obviously as well. So clean hands, clean body, and then you're ready to mask and paint. I'm going to mask off the front windshield along with the side windows here, and I'm also going to fit the body on now so I can mark where the posts are going to go on the body. That way I can cut those holes out now and not try to figure it out later after the body's already been painted. So summarize: wash your hands, soap and water, wash the inside of the body, soap and water, sand things to a nice smooth finish, and then mark the body post holes. And then you're basically ready to start painting, and you paint these from the inside. I'm going to use and you want to mask the inside after you wash it, if you're going to leave the windshields and the side windows clear. You could also make them clear and then come back later, and after you paint the inside, come back and put a spray of window tint spray on it if you don't want it to be completely clear. But the nice thing is, once you mask it and you paint everything, you can always decide to do that after the fact. If you don't like the clear look, you can always paint it with that with the tint. So we'll be right back after I wash this up, and we'll get ready to mask. I'll show you how I've masked it off, and then we'll paint. So be right back. Okay, so now that I've washed this thing with soap and water, it's very clean. My hands are clean. We can look at using the mask that comes with this to mask off the windshield, because I don't want to paint the windshield. I wanted to leave it clear. So most good quality Lexan bodies come not just with the decal sheet, but also a masking sheet, which are basically stickers that are in the shape of the windshield so you can mask them off. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and do the top, the windshield here, but then I'll do the rest off camera because I like to make sure that everything lines up perfectly and take my time on it. So let me peel off this front windshield here. The paper. Okay. So the mask is similar to the Tamiya tape that I put on, that you use to mask things off. Except this is already pre-cut, which makes it really easy. I'm going to put this on my lap here real quick. I think it's just going to be easier for me. So let me do that. Come back to this. Okay, I kind of already started it. Just lining up the corners. And just once you line up one side and the corners, then the rest is kind of easy to just stick on. You just want to make sure that it's stuck well so the paint doesn't seep through the edges. And just make sure that everything lines up before you stick. You probably have maybe 1 or 2 tries before you to unstick, if you need to unstick it if it doesn't line up properly. But you can usually already tell, like the sides here are lining up well, and the top windshield's lining up well, the sides are lining up well. So I think this is going to be a go on the first try here. Okay. So again, make sure that the sides are really well stuck onto the plastic because you don't want any of the paint to seep through. Okay, so there you go. So that's the front windshield that's masked. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the sides and the rear glass here, and then we'll be ready to paint. So stay tuned. Okay, so here I finished masking this off. I like to keep the excess mask because it's kind of like tape, so you know, you never know when you can use it. So what I did here is I masked not just the windshields, but I also masked the front light covers and the rear tail lights as well. The reason being is there are stickers, you know, here that'll cover the front, you know, headlights and rear lights. So it'll cover up the clear. But I did that in the event for two reasons, 2 options that I have. If I'd like to put headlight buckets and rear light buckets in here, because the kit does come with plastic buckets for lights. So I want to put electric lights. I can just peel the stickers off and then I can put the lights on because the plastic will be clear there. Or the other thing I can do, if I know I'm not going to put lights on it at all, instead of just making it all black, I'll paint this a tinted black, so it kind of stands out a little bit, and not put the stickers on. Or, you know, like I said, just put the stickers on and it'll cover up the clear. So anyways, so that's why I still decided to mask off the lights. So there we go. This is ready to get painted. I'm just gonna clean the inside one more time, and then we'll just spray it with black. Small mist coats of black, very small, light, very light misty coats of black. 2 or 3 coats. Let it dry, you know, 5 minutes or so between coats of the small mist. And then once you got it tacked on, and you got a couple of mist coats on there, then you can just spray it just a tiny bit heavier. But don't stay with the paint all in one area, otherwise it'll run. So you just want to put some light coats up front, and then just put 2 or 3 coats after that. and then you should be all set. So I'll be back. Okay, so this is the first coat. You can see it's just a light misty coat of black. We're going to wait about 5 minutes, and then we're going to give it another coat. I'd say 2 or 3 of these little mist coats, and then we'll start being a little bit more generous with our paint. Okay, so this is our second, well, it's like a second third mist coat. You can see it's a lot darker now. So I think we're just going to put the final 2 coats a little heavier now, and that'll be that. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so now that we've got this painted with a few coats of black, by the way, always make sure you have at least 2 cans of whatever paint you're going to lay on, especially if it's an entire body like this. I used up 1 can of paint really quick with the misting because I had the spray can far away. As you add more coats, you're going to spray slower and a little bit closer to the body, trying to avoid runs. You don't want it too close, otherwise the paint will run. But for black to be non-see-through, you really need quite a few coats. So especially if you're going to paint an underlying body black, have at least 2 cans of paint ready to go. Maybe even a third just to be safe. So I ended up using almost 2 entire cans of paint on this. So while the paint is still tacky, not runny, but tacky, that's when I start taking off the masking, because if you let it dry too long, it could take some of the paint with it when you peel it off later. So you want to try to take it off while the paint is still tacky, so it doesn't take any of the paint with it. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right. So see how that came out really nice? Very straight edges. Again, you want to take the masking off when the paint is still tacky. You can't see completely through it because we still have the protective plastic coat over it. And I'll take the plastic coat later when I'm ready to do something with the body. In the meantime, I keep it on to protect the body from scratches on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of the masking off, and then let me show you the stickers that I have planned for this, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do my own decals, and hopefully you might get something out of this or motivate you to do your own as well. Sometimes decals can be a bit expensive. In this case, I'm not actually doing decals. I'm actually making stickers. There's a difference. The decals I put in water, and then you stick them on to your model or whatever. In this case, I'm actually using sticker paper. So the first thing I'm going to do with this, I thought it'd be cool to kind of do a kind of offshoot of Hello Kitty. I know it sounds weird, but stick with me on this one. And if it doesn't work out, hey, no problem. They're stickers. You just peel them off and do something different. In fact, if you don't like it later, you peel them off and do something different. So the first thing I do is I go online and I start scouring the internet for, something different, In this case, I'll probably download something like this, primarily because it's nicely outlined and everything. I can put it into Photoshop. That's the program that I use for editing. So I've already done a bit of this legwork because I go a couple hours maybe in looking for images that I like, and then manipulating them, hemming and hawing whether I want it or not, and what have you. So, but you get the crux of it. I get on the internet, I click on images, and I start looking at everything. If I find something I like, such as this, I can either go to that site, or this is big enough for me. I can just right click and save image as, and save the image. Okay. So In this case, I've already done a lot of this legwork. I just wanted to show you what I do. I got a whole bunch of images actually. So once I got all the images, then I throw them into Photoshop. So this is one of the images that I got. Actually, I just made a font for this, but I like the image that I got. So this is going to go on the front hood on the very bottom of the car. I downloaded that image that I just showed you, and you can see what I did with it. Now, I have two different sticker papers. I have transparent, clear transparent, and I'll show you that. With clear transparent sticker paper, you have to remember that you have the adhesive that's on the back of it. So nothing is going to be 100% clear transparent as far as the sticker is concerned, because that adhesive sees through the transparency. So you'll have a little bit of frosting. In some sticker paper, there's a bit of yellowing. So it's not truly transparent. So what you end up having to do is, my printer that I'll show you prints white. So usually I'll print a white background, or I'll print the image in white, and then I'll lay the colors on top of the white. That way it provides some backing. I rarely use clear. I sometimes do in certain circumstances where there's enough of a color behind it, where the clear, the adhesive isn't going to be really seen, because of the color behind it. So the bottom line is, if you're using clear sticker paper, note that it can never be 100% clear. So you really need some kind of background that offsets some of that sticker residue that shows up. And it shows up in the form of a lot of little tiny dots. In this case though, I'm going to use white sticker paper. So, and the car is black. So what I did with this is, I wanted the outline of this to be like a darker gray. I wanted to shoot a few little spot colors in there. And this also has a little bit of a black border around it. Why? Because if I don't, I'll either have to cut into, when I cut the sticker out, I'll either have to cut into the gray, which I really don't want to do because I like the width here. So I added a little bit of black. Why? The car is black and the paper behind this is white. If I didn't add this, I run the risk of having some of that white sticker exposed around the edges. In this case though, I put a black border around it, and when I show you how I cut this, I'm going to cut a little bit into that black border, and I won't see any of the white sticker paper around the outside edges. Okay, so that's why you'll see a little black border around everything. So this is an image that I liked, and what I ended up doing is downloading some sponsor images. And then I colored them this color. You can see the foreground color here that I chose. So I did a lot of coloring because I wanted to maintain some color consistency in the car. So this image here is going to be on the door panel just in front of the door. These I might just put, around the car here and there. So I got a few sponsor images. What I also did is I got a few other sponsor images that I put on this sheet. You can see that I made two sizes of everything. I made a larger size. This is about, 2 inches wide, and this is about 1 inch wide. So this will probably go on the rear quarter panels, take up, most of the rear quarter panel. And then these images here, I may not use this one at all. Maybe I'll put it in the rear. The same with these. These are larger images. Anyways, I'm giving myself some options. So I made them different sizes. The last thing I did is I chose a hood image. Now I measured the hood of the car. It starts off at around, 2.5, 3 inches, something like that at the top, and then 4 inches at the bottom. And the hood kind of angles in these angles. So I already did these measurements to get this. The reason being, I thought it would look weird if I just had a square on the car, because then you'd see the kind of edges of the sticker. So this lines up with the little formation on the hood. So the sticker will kind of be transparent, except maybe for the top and the bottom, but I just think it will look a lot better. The back of it is black. So the car is black, so I can cut a little tiny bit into the edges here, and that way I won't see any of the white, any white border from the white sticker sheet I'll be doing. And this is transparent, but this will show the white sticker sheet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start moving some of these other images onto the sticker sheet. This is 8.5 by 11. Actually, I narrowed it down to 7.5 by 10. That way I can just print borderless. If you do 8.5 by 11, you got to remember your printer has to have some border. Usually it's about 1/4 of an inch. So this way I know that I'm going to be able to, I'm not going to cut off anything on the edges of the pages. So I already have, this is for the hood, but what I want to do is I'm going to print 2 of them in case I mess one up. So you always want to print some extra. Let me see what I got here. All right. So I'm going to merge these 2, and then what I'm going to do is copy this and make a new one. I'll just put it below that for now. I can always move these later. And if I want to line them up, I can always put a guide there. So what I'm going to do with this guy, let's just move this guy up here towards the top. And I'm going to line these 2 up, so I'm going to put a guide right there. And okay, so I got 2 hood stickers in case I mess one up. Let me bring some of these guys in now. So I'm going to speed this up, or maybe just show you the final result. Let's see how this goes, and we'll go from here. Okay, so that's how it's going to be. This is the sticker sheet we're going to print out. So I'm going to save this, and now we're going to head to the printer and print this out as soon as it finishes saving here. So stick with me and let's make this work. Okay, so here I am in front of the printer I'm going to use. This is an Alps MD1300. This printer's got to be about 15 years old. Why do I still use it? In fact, you have to use it with a computer that's running Windows XT Pro, believe it or not. So the reason that I use this 15-year-old printer is this printer doesn't use ink. It uses cartridges. Here's cyan, magenta, black, yellow. On top of that, there's gold, silver, foil cartridges. The coolest thing about it, though, is that it also prints white. Find me a printer that prints white. So, you know, that's why I use this. On top of that, these cartridges are film, so it's not ink. So they're, for the most part, I can say water resistant, but bottom line is the ink won't smear because there is no ink. It's ribbon. So there's also a finish cartridge that we're going to use at the end, that after spitting out the color, you use the finish cartridge to put a clear glossy layer on top of it. So you can imagine, you know, the advantages of having a printer like this. For one, printing white means I can use clear paper. So I can use clear sticker paper. So what I do with clear sticker paper is I print a layer of white, because if you use clear sticker paper, the color will bleed through, especially if the background that you're sticking it to is dark. So typically what you do is you'll print white, and then on top of the white you'll use a selection called overlay on the print settings, so it doesn't spit the paper out. This has the ability, you'll see how that works when I use the finish cartridge, to keep the paper on the printer keep it lined up and put layers on top of layers on top of layers. So if I was using clear sticker film, I would print white first to create a background for it, and then I would lay the colors on top of that. And then that way the colors don't bleed through. In our case though, we're not going to be using clear. We're going to be using a white backing paper, so I don't need to print white. I don't need to print a background. We're going to use paper that's already has a white background on it. So the colors shouldn't bleed through. If we want to play it safe, we can print white on it first, but I don't think we'll need to. If it doesn't work out, we'll just do it again and print the white. So, all right. So first things first, I'm going to turn this thing on. Feed the paper through. You want to make sure the paper is lined up on this because, like I said, it's going to print layers over each other, and you don't want the paper to be skewed and come off and all this other stuff. So anyways. So there's the paper, it's fed. So we'll move the camera over here. Okay, so here I already loaded up the decal image that we're going to use. And boy, I'm thinking maybe I should print clear wine on it, but I'm taking a chance here. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and print this decal sheet. And since I'm printing white, so what normally happens is if I was to, well, it doesn't matter, I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to go ahead and print the decal sheet. If I'm printing white, I would use this spot color option here and then choose the white undercoat. But we're not going to, since this paper is already white, and I'm hoping that it's white enough that it's not, the colors aren't going to bleed through it. So what I am going to do though is I'm going to click on overlay so it doesn't spit the paper out after it finishes printing. Why? Because after I'm finished with the color, I'm going to print a finish layer on it. So I'm going to choose overlay on that. We're not going to use spot colors. Okay, so that should be all we need to do. Okay, so let's go back to the printer here. So what you're seeing now is it's printing different layers of ribbon, just like a regular inkjet printer would. The inkjet printer has black ink, it has magenta ink. I mean, this has the same inks as this has ribbons. The only difference is instead of ink, this is basically overlaying the colors of the ribbons on the paper, and that's mixing the colors of the ribbons and gives you the final color that you want. So there's no ink in here, it's transparent colored ribbons that are printing right now, and they're printing over each other. So you can see how it's changing the colors on the decals as it's printing them. So yes, it's a slow process compared to an inkjet printer, but the difference is this is all film, it's water resistant, it's not going to smear, and it's a higher quality as well. And this can print white, remember. So where I think I messed up in this is I made these smaller ones a little too big. I should have probably made them 1 inch instead of 2 inch. But probably wouldn't have used them anyways. I'm going to be using the bigger one for the rear quarter panel. So, but it would have been nice to have the Cornely stickers a little smaller so I can put them on. But we can always print another decal sheet, couldn't we? Okay, I think that was the final layer. Now, I could leave it like this, but the problem if I leave it like this, if you just get a little nick on the ribbon here, it'll scratch the ribbon up and then you'll see the white underneath. So I always want to put a finish layer on it, a clear finish layer. And that clear finish layer will also make it more glossy. So that's what we're going to do now. It's going to change this cartridge. We're going to take this cyan, however you want to pronounce it, out. And then we're going to bring in this finish cartridge, which is basically clear film. See, you can see the film is clear. Okay, we're going to close this back up. And we're going to print this one more time. Except this time, what I'm doing on the computer that you don't see is I'm doing the same thing, except I'm choosing a spot color. And that spot color is going to be that clear finish cartridges. So it'll only print that clear finish cartridge anywhere it sees black. So let me explain what I need to do now. Let me move this over to the computer here and I'll show you what needs to happen. And I would do this if I was printing a white background layer, the same as I'm doing right now, and you're going to see that there's a little nuance to this. Okay, the nuance of printing spot colors is it'll print that one color, whether it's white, whether in this case it's finish, only on the black areas. So obviously I wouldn't be able to, it won't print the finish on anything that's white, anything that's not black, but I want it to put the finish on everything, right? So in order for me to do that, I'm basically going to merge all these images down. Okay, now that I've got all the layers merged down, I don't want this background image, not that it really matters. So I'm going to select them all. And I'm going to create a new layer. Let me go back and just select the images inside of here. I don't want to select the whole paper because you'll see what's going to happen in a second. All the images are selected, just the images, not the whole page. Now, on this new layer that I've created, I'm going to basically fill this in black. Just like that. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to now print with the finish cartridge, and it'll print that blank layer of film anywhere you see black. So this way, as you can see now, it'll cover all of the images. Okay. So I'm going to come here, File, Print. In the page setup, we're going to use a spot color. And here we're going to choose the finish, the glossy finish cartridge. So for spot colors, you can see all the different spot colors here. It will print this, like it'll print, you know, for example, a white undercoat, a metallic, like a gold or silver, what have you. It'll print it only in the black areas. And since I want my entire decal to have a glossy finish, a protecting coat on it, I had to make all of the entire decals black. Okay, normally if I was printing a white undercoat, I would come here under paper and click on overlay so it doesn't finish the print and speed the paper all the way through. But in this case, this is the final layer, so I'm not going to do that. We have spot color selected, and then we'll just go ahead and click print. And there we go. So now let's move over to the printer. So this is a slow process because now it's just gliding that one ribbon over across all of the decals. So this will take probably about 45 seconds or so. So we'll speed this up and we'll finish this out. Okay, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but you can see how nice and glossy that is. Now the mistake I made is that I made some of these colors in here a little too darkish gray, so you can kind of barely see some of it, but that's okay. I'll deal with that. I can always reprint them and just make the colors brighter, but that's what we're looking at. I should have made these smaller, they're too big. I should have recognized that early on. But anyways, so there's one final step. Do I want to cut these out with a pair of scissors or an X-Acto knife? Absolutely not. So let me show you that final step. I think you'll trip out over this one. Okay, so now that we've got our decal sheet done and printed, you could cut it out with the scissors, but I have something a lot better. So this is a Brother ScanCut. So the way that this works is, well, you know what? Just let me show you. Let's turn this puppy on. This is going to do all the cutting for us. So first things first, we have here a cutting mat. So what we do is we're going to put our decal paper or our sticker paper here that we want to cut out on the cutting mat. And mind you, you can do this, I'm using sticker paper, but you can do, the same steps, the printing it, everything out, and all of this cutting and everything can be done with decals as well. The only difference is the decal paper, you stick the decal in water and then you stick it on. In this case, this is a sticker. So this is going to stick. It already has adhesive on it. You don't need water. So what are we going to do now with this thing? Is we're going to line up the mat here, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to scan, and we're going to do a direct cut, and we're going to do it on the scanner. We're going to do beyond 12 by 6, so I'm going to do the full sheet. Okay. So first we've got to load the mat. Forgot about that. Okay, and now we're going to start, and what it's going to do is it's going to scan the mat. I want it to hit the wall behind, so I'm going to kind of catch it here. So what it's doing is it's recognizing all of the borders on the decal sheet here. You see there? That's our decal sheet. So what it's going to do after I hit start, it's first going to take a measurement of how deep the mat is, and then how deep the decal sheet is going to subtract the difference, and that way it knows how deep to cut. So it handles the depth of the cut automatically by itself. So right now it's seeing how deep the mat is. Now it's seeing how deep the decal sheet is. Now it knows how much to adjust for the depth of the needle. And right now it's performing all the cuts. Okay, now watch how magical this is. Oops, didn't want to do that. Needed to take the paper out first, so I forgot to eject the mat. There we go. So let me show you now the magic of what just happened there. Can you see? All the decals perfectly cut, right on the borders. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of this stuff off little by little so I don't leave any paper stuck to the mat. But you can see what it's going to look like in the end. So let me do this real quick here. All right, so what I have left are the stickers. So I just bend the mat just a little tiny bit here, and the stickers will just peel off. So there you go. So I'm going to do that with all of these stickers here. Just peel them off. They're on the paper backing, but as you can see, there's the paper backing, but you can see the sticker is perfectly cut all along the lines. So try to do that with the scissors. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and peel all these stickers off of here, and then we'll get to putting them on the body of the Gallardo. So hang tight. All right then, here are all the stickers all cut out. So you can see how easy that was to do. When you have the right equipment, it makes life a heck of a lot easier. So let's see what we're going to do about getting these stickers on here. So first things first, I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol here to clean the fingerprints or any other impurities that are on the plastic. Last thing you want is stickers on a dirty plexiglass here, so get rid of some of this stuff. So this is where we're going to put the sponsor decals right here. I think that's going to be the easiest to start with, so let's do that first. Make sure I have this really clean here. You can see I already had some stickers on that I had printed out earlier. before I decided it would be a good idea to show you how I do this. Okay, so here I think we're going to stick, I cut these out, so we're going to do something like that. Okay, so first things first, I'm only going to show you how I'm going to do a couple of these, then I'll just do the rest off camera, because this will take a while. So let's get the sticker off of here. I'm going to put this halfway up there. Yeah. Okay, that's where I want it. So there we go. So there are the sponsor decals. Now the other one I'm going to do before I do the rest off camera is the big Hello Kitty one here. And I'll also do the hood. So the big Hello Kitty one I'm just going to put like right there, like so. So. Okay. Now the nice thing about these stickers is that you can remove them and try again. You've got like about maybe 3 tries, if I was to guess. So the contours of this thing makes it like you should start from the top and work your way down. So that way you cover all the little edges that's in there. Trying to not get my fat fingers in the way here. There we go. So I'm going to start laying this down from the top and working my way down, getting the sticker inside all the little grooves. Because if you don't do that, it'll create air bubbles. And then you'll be able to see the air bubbles because this stuff is black, and black is unforgiving. See, you can see the air bubble there. Oh, actually, sorry, that's the eye. Okay. All right. So there's a Hello Kitty sticker. So there you go. So I'll put a few more of the sponsor decals on here. Let's do the front. Let's do the front while we're at it here. We cut these at an angle to match up the hood marks here. So let's go ahead and get this on. Okay. So there's that front hood, and we got one more sticker for the front, which is the Hello Kitty thing here that we'll put right there towards the bottom. We'll get little tiny Hello Kitty. I'll make another decal sheet with little tinier ones that we can put here on the front as well. Okay, so there you go. Now these stickers you can take out. So, you know, if you change your mind later and you want to do something, you know, they'll peel off. They have really good adhesive, so it takes a little bit to peel them off, but they will peel off. Yeah, I want to tighten this one up here. Okay, so there you go, the Hello Kitty car. So let me put the rest of the stickers on here off camera, and then we'll wrap this up. So be right back. Okay, so here you go. I added more of the stickers onto the body. And again, this is basically meant to show you how I make my decals, how I cut them out. There's a whole different way of doing things. I mean, I used white paper stickers, sheets. You can use clear sticker sheets. You could use decal paper and actually wet them on. In fact, decal paper would probably be nicer for something like this, since decals would kind of adhere to the contours of the body, instead of having a sticker that'll probably just, you know, peel up after a little while. But the nice thing with the stickers is I can always peel them off and put different stickers on and make the car look completely different without, you know, messing up the body. The other thing you can do is you can use a cutter to cut out, you know, all of the inside as well, stick them on the inside and use that as a stencil for painting. So there's just so much that you can do with these cutters, and so much you can do with Photoshop and making the images that you want. So, you know, I hope this kind of gave you an idea, at least, of the possibilities, because that's all it was intended to do. So, you know, don't give me a hard time about the Hello Kitty and the decals. This is kind of an inside joke with my son. I told him, you know, his high school car, I'm gonna buy him a Geo Metro, and I'm gonna, you know, cover it with Hello Kitty. And if he doesn't want to walk to school, he's gonna have to drive that car. Anyways, like I said, you know, I like to have fun with my boy, but again, hope you got something out of this. That's how I do it. If you have any of your own ideas, feel free to post them in the comments. But in the end, you know my saying, you only live once. So enjoy every day like it's your last, and have fun with whatever you're doing. So until next time, you take care now.